Warning, warning. This is a global ice out. Testing the right speaker. Right. Testing the left speaker. Left. Sound successfully recovered. Swan Commander. Connected. And now, the countdown has begun. And now, are you ready for a journey that goes beyond the norms? The Federal Prospects Hockey League just celebrated its 15th anniversary. With a footprint and fan base rapidly expanding, Swan Hockey is now bringing you behind the scenes. Beyond what you see at games. Beyond the arenas. Beyond the crowds. This is FPHL, Beyond the Glass.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of FPHL Beyond the Glass. I'm your host, Eric Swanek, Swan Commander on social media. This is the official podcast of the Federal Prospects Hockey League, and the playoffs are here. It's time. We another regular season in the books. We are going to do a playoff preview episode. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to be joined by Danbury Hat-Tricks general manager AJ Galante and Twin City Thunderbirds head coach Steve Harrison. Let's go. AJ, Steve, what's going on? Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Look, always good to be back, man.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys coming back. Obviously, not the ending that you had hoped for, this season, but it's the race was really tight this year, and you guys both had heavy schedules, right? Like Steve, like that pod that you guys were in down there was incredibly difficult. AJ, you guys had to play Binghamton, a million times. The schedule's, obviously a little bit unbalanced in this league, and you guys had a tough part in that. AJ, we can start with you.
Yeah, I mean, this was my first year, as a GM, like basically really part of this league. And, it was, we inherited a roster, not saying anything bad. I mean, look, coach will tell you, the roster you start with and end in sometimes is so dramatically different, and, me and the coaching staff, we really had, I think the ownership thinks we're making an excuse of this, but we had such a limited offseason. You kind of inherited a roster. You kind of remodeling on the go. It's not easy. We got hot at the end, but we just dug ourselves in so deep that, it was tough to overcome that. So I chop it up to, we demoed a little, remodeled the house. And I think next year we're primed for a good, 2-3 years, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. Steve, what, how about on your end there?
Well, kind of the same thing. We're in a transition time here. The year before I got here, they went to the finals, and then the 2 years I was here, we went to the finals. And you get to this level, things you're in a bit of a transition time, and just from top to bottom with us, we changed our logo, we changed other things happened within the organization. So just a lot of things happened, and as I said, with the transition, and we never really recovered. We got better. The one thing, actually, I just had some interviews with some guys, and the one thing I didn't get this team probably. I would like to have this team maybe in December. And we never really got the continuity, and we never got the consistency. We played at times, and we had a tough schedule. Don't get me wrong. I think we had 9 games against teams below us. That was it. 9 games out of 56. So every other game was, ahead of us. And so, and that's not an excuse. It was a tough schedule, but we just weren't consistent enough as a group. We go into Athens, we play them toe to toe, but we lose, 4-3. We went down to Monroe and, lost one and then beat them once. And we went to Bingo and beat them twice in Bingo and back-to-back games. And so at times we were really, really good. And at times we were very, very inconsistent. And the one problem I think my team had this year was it wasn't game to game. Sometimes it was more or less for 50 minutes. I'm like, geez, I like this. And then the last 10 minutes, I'm like, I went and called the police because somebody stole my team. So and so that was the problem we had here. And I think the problem was I made more changes this year than I have in the last 5 years. And just trying to get, I had like 47 players this year. And the year I won it, I think I had 25. Last year, I think the one year, my first year here, I had 31, but I lost like 6 guys or 7 guys in one weekend, either to call ups or that, and that's why I had more. So I don't make a lot of changes. We've had a lot of changes, and I'm not putting all the blame on that, but I just think we were going to, if we were a little more consistent, we went right down to the last weekend. We would have had a better chance. And as I said, the tough schedule and everything, that's just an excuse. I'm not saying it was easy, but I enjoyed it. And as I said, if we were a little more consistent, we might have given ourselves a better chance.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, consistency is key, obviously, with everything. And the schedules really is a factor. I mean, like no disrespect to any of the teams at the bottom of the standings, but if there's another team that plays them more, like at certain points in the season, they look like automatic wins. It is what it is. I mean, like in terms of like AJ, like with all your games against Binghamton, I think somebody said it was a few weeks ago during one of these episodes. At that time, I think mathematically, if you took Binghamton out of Watertown's schedule, Watertown was over 500. Right. But they finished, did they wind up finishing last in the division?
I think did, right? Indiana did, because Indiana, they just started so slow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna look that up, but it's just like it just shows like when you play Binghamton that many times.
You're right. Watertown did finish last. You're right by a point.
Okay. Yep.
But you're right. I mean, listening to this coach talk, it's like we're literally like mirror images of each other. We made so many changes too. The schedule didn't help, but like coach says, it's not an excuse. You got to try to find ways around it. But it was tough. It was a very, very tough go. And I wish the way we ended. I wish the team we had at the last game. I wish if we had in December too. I think there'd be a lot of talks of a Danbury Twin City final potential. You never know.
What people don't realize is you get your team together, but you got to learn to win as a group. And my first year in Danville, our old friend Barry there called me and said we should make some changes because I was like 2-9-2, and I said I like my team, but like we got to learn to win as a team. And this team here, when I finally got them together, we made the big trade, a couple big trades right at the deadline, and I think we played 12 games together. And I remember being in Danville, we were like 2-9-2, and I said we can't win as a team right now, and we have to win as a team. And then I won 12 in a row, and things took off. So it takes time to win as a team and gel and get things together. It just does, especially when all the players don't know each other. You know what I mean? And so that's something. And I'm not trying to make excuses, but it takes more time than you think. And as I said, the consistency on the gelling, as I said, some nights 55 minutes, I'm like, this is fantastic. And then the last 5, or one game just wasn't very good. And the next game we look like world beaters. So that's the consistency and the process of guys trusting each other to learn how to win together. You're up 4-1 or 3-1 going in the third, I should be sitting in the, upstairs in the bar having a drink and talking to fans. You know what I mean? It should be over, but this year here, we just couldn't put those away all the time. Or, if we be down 3-1, we'd come back and tie it 3-3 and then lose again or something. So it was just, that's the gelling takes time, and not every team's the same. Like, AJ's team might have started to gel in 5, 6, 7 games. I might have taken 20 games. So you never know because of the different personnel.
Yeah. Absolutely. And in this league too, I mean, like you could win or lose a game in 5 minutes, right? Like with how high scoring the league could be. I mean, you're up by, to your point, Steve, like if you're up by 3, I mean, that could go away in 5 minutes. And
no question.
I don't know if they have a stat for it, but I am positive if I really, I really don't have a life anymore, I could probably figure it out. Binghamton probably leads the league in the fastest multi-goal, like the time in between goals. I mean, I'm telling you, they come in bunches,
Yeah, if
Binghamton.
you
Like
fall
I
asleep,
think,
they punch you like 4 times.
I mean, 3 goals within 3.5 minutes. I mean, it sounds crazy, but they come in clusters, and that's, early in the year when you don't have the team you think is best for your roster. I mean, they get up 1-2 on you, it's over. You know what I mean? And like Coach says, you're going in a 1-2 goal lead against a Binghamton. I mean, forget it. That means nothing, because they can turn it on like that. So I gotta look that stat up. I want to know what their average time in between goals is, because I'm telling you, it's short.
Yeah, like when you like I said, like when you fall asleep, like they'll punch you a couple of times. They just did it last weekend, I think. I think they were down by 1. They scored 1, and I think the second one, Nick Swain batted it out of the air like 30
Yep.
seconds later.
It killed us all year.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
and it's
the one of the keys in this league is actually I went over it. We had 200 and something, 207, excuse me, goals against this year, and the year I won it, I think I had 121. 2 years ago I had 127. The year before I was like 130, and that's the difference in for my team and for when you're playing, and if you can learn and still score goals. You just can't sit back and hope for that, but you got to score goals also. But if you can limit your goals against, that's going to give you more of an opportunity to win. And that's one of the things that we faltered on this year of not being a great defensive team. And if you look at the teams, everybody's going to score. It doesn't matter. You can go to Danbury, you can go to Indiana or Topeka or down to Monroe. They're all going to score. Some teams score more, but it's the teams that can defend a little bit better. And as I said, when that scores 3-1, the party should be over, and
yeah,
that's instead of maybe instead of winning 4-3 and everyone thinks, oh, that was a great game. It's that's 3 goals. It should be 3-1. It shouldn't be 3-2 or 4-3. You know what I mean? And so
yeah.
if you can, in this league here, in my opinion, and again, I'm not saying I play defensively. I'm just talking about uh, being better when you don't have the puck. And if you can do that in this league here, you get into the playoffs. That's going to be the biggest factor, in my opinion, on who's going to be able to play away from the puck. Everybody's going to score.
Yep.
You look at all the teams: Monroe, Athens, Bingo, PD, Columbus. They all can score. On the other side with Topeka and that, Port Huron. Everybody can score, but who can defend the best when the pressure's on? And I think that's going to be the key of who's going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember I think, if I remember correctly, when Athens went up to Binghamton earlier this year for 2 games, I think it was, I think they blew each other out each night. Like,
Yeah,
I think Athens put up 10 one night, and then Binghamton put up like, 6
yeah.
or 7 the next night. Like, it was like, if I remember correctly, I think Athens definitely won big the first night. But yeah,
Right.
like in terms of, like, it just shows you, like, yeah, like you gotta be able to play D. You start falling asleep. I mean, yeah, like someone's gonna put up
And see,
7
this is
real
what
quick.
people don't understand. It's like baseball. A hitter, 1 week he bats 800, and then the next week he bats 150, and it's like scoring. You get guys that score, and then all of a sudden, the playoffs are a little tighter, and then now we're not scoring as much. So you're expecting to get 4 goals a game. Now all of a sudden it's 5 minutes left in the third, and it's 2-1 hockey game or 2-2 hockey game. Like the goals aren't coming quite as much. So you're going to have to know how to not to give those goals up, and that's what's going to change. That's what's going to really be the factor here. Of, as I said, you get in the playoffs. How many times you guys have seen it? A guy scores 50 goals in this regular season. He gets in the playoffs, and in 8 games, he's got 2 goals.
Yeah.
And those things happen because it's the playoffs, and so the high flying teams are going to have to learn to make sure they know how to play the other end too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk a little bit about the playoffs right now. So a little bit, let's have some fun predictions. Even just some analysis and everything from your guys' point of view. If we start over in the Continental, because I think that race was super, super tight all year. Steve, what are you seeing there? What teams do you, I mean, obviously every team, can play. What do you see going into this playoffs in terms of like a bit of analysis or predictions
Well,
in
I
the
think actually,
Continental?
I think PD lost a player to the SB. He went up there. I think health is going to be a big factor. You look at Athens right now. I'm not sure of Milan's situation. Down in Monroe there, they lost a player there near the end of I can't think of his name right now, a big winger. Um, Good hockey player. So I think a lot is going to depend on who's healthy and who's. I think anybody can come out of that division. I think the one team that maybe I take the top three and I look at Athens, Monroe, and Columbus. I think the one team that are going to have to really know how to play defensively better, in my opinion, is PD. They got a high flying hockey team and they push the puck a lot. But if they get shut down, then I think that they could be in trouble in a 3-game series. But they just picked up the goalie. I think they're going to be pretty good there. But as I said, I to try and predict our division is going to, in a short series like that, I don't know if there's any real clear cut. And this is what I was trying to tell my team, or anybody gets in. All you had to do was get into the dance, and
Yeah.
you don't know, and especially with the way our format handles is, you got the game at home first. And if you're the lower seed, you got that game at home, and if you can steal one there, I'm going to tell you something. It takes a lot of pressure off you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
anything
now,
could happen. And like
exactly, or
that's the
but crazier things have happened. We lost Columbus 2 years ago, 3-0 in our barn, and then went there and won 2. So anything can happen in a short 3-game series. You ask. You look at the one league there, and I know we don't like to compare ourselves, but the SP, I think in the last 10 years, the team who won the league has only won the championship once or something. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen very often. So I think Evansville last year might have been in 6th. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
I
Like
think the
they
finals
went
was like
from
2 lower seeds
5th or
last year, if
6th.
I remember correctly.
Yeah. So to sit here and to really try to predict that, I think there's so many factors involved. I think travel is going to affect some things. Because I know Athens is going. They're going to play in Athens Friday, PD Saturday, and back in Athens on Sunday. So I'm not sure who that is going to really
Oh,
help
they're not
there.
doing the 1-2?
No, no,
Okay.
I heard that. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought they were doing that. That's what I
Hmm.
heard yesterday, that they thought that was going to happen. So, and then Monroe and Columbus. That's a fairly long trip. So, a lot of those things are coming to play. How do guys respond? We don't usually travel like that. You play Friday night, and then you have to get on a bus and drive 9 hours or 8 hours and get there. We did it last year or 2 years ago with Port Huron, and I'll tell you, that's a long trip home, 12 hours, and then play the next night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and then again, you mentioned it. You get a hot goalie in a short series, and like I think everybody's got a good goalie. I don't think there's a goalie, a team in our division that doesn't have the number one. But then 3 games in 3 days, can he go 3 games? So
Right.
their backups, what's their backup like? And so there's some factors there. Again, I love to have a crystal ball. I think with Athens and PD, in my opinion, it might go 3 games, but I think Athens has probably got that one, the way I look at it. Monroe and Columbus, I think that's a you could flip a coin, or I could go Columbus all the way, and then I could be totally wrong, or I could go Monroe, because I think that's going to be just who plays better. I think they're both well coached. They can score goals, and as I said, I just think it's a matter of. The one thing I don't know about, like Monroe and those and some teams, like I last year we got in the playoffs, and I had a player that had played like 6 years in the actually he'd been in the Coast and in the SP and all this, and never played a playoff game. And
Hmm.
so those are the factors that I'm not sure of, and I don't have in my
Yeah.
sight here, that means a lot. Like
Yeah.
those things, like that playoff experience, not just in our league, but anywhere, any league. You know what I mean? Like that might come down to it too. You might not be the better team, but if you got a little more experience in the playoffs, that might help you too. And as I said, I don't have those numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And AJ, I want you to weigh in on the Continental and then give us what you think for the Empire.
I mean, I think Coach hit it on the head. I mean, when you have these short 3-game series, it's like, especially like he said, the lower seed playing at home first, it makes things so interesting. I just think with a short series, it's like, balls to the wall. I think sometimes the explosive teams can get off to a hot start. I got Athens winning, beating. Listen, Coach has seen that division way more than me. I just think Athens is just built for it right now. If PD takes the first game, it could be interesting, but I think, when we're talking defensive, and I know Athens goalie's playing out of his mind right now. I mean, I just think Athens wins that one. Columbus and Monroe, again, another coin flip. I don't know. I have a hunch Monroe takes it. Why? I honestly don't know. I think some momentum. They've been pretty good their last 10 games, as opposed to Columbus. I'm looking at this thing now, and I don't know. I believe in momentum too. I think momentum plays a part of it. So I don't know. I have a hunch. No real reason why on that one. I just think Monroe just. I don't know. I think they're built for a 3-game series, honestly. So that's where I see it. And then I don't know. Ultimately, coming out of the Continental. I mean, I know it sounds like a cheap pick because they ended at number 1, but I don't. I just think Athens is just kind of primed right now to take that, division. But it's like Coach says, with these short series, it's like it's anyone's ball game, honestly.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, like one undisciplined 5-minute major penalty could like lose the series.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the Columbus Monroe series, I mean, I think they got the number 1 scorer in the league, but they give up a lot of goals in that division. I think they've given up the 3rd most amount of goals. So. Defense plays a big part.
Who, Monroe or Columbus?
Columbus.
Okay.
I mean, to put in perspective, Baton Rouge only gave up 7 more goals than them. So, I mean, again, numbers tell a small part of the story, but defensive-wise, we'll see. I just think Monroe right now, I mean, they forced 275 goals. I mean, they got some firepower.
Yeah. What Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Like every series is gonna be awesome. And Steve, to your point, like that's something to watch. Like with Athens, is I do think they're down a couple of guys right now, a couple of key players right now.
Well, they lost the 2 Russians. They went home. And then
Gleb.
and I'm not sure Milan's situation. And he's a little like Ford, that we got from us here. Like he kind of stirs the drink for them too. You know what I mean? And so those are those, and we played them a lot this year, and that's the guy. Or now they got 40, which is going to really help. But that's the guy that the score's 2-2 or 2-1, and they're down, and he always seems to get either that assist or the goal to tie it for some reason. And same with Ford. I think Ford's
just a clutch player.
Ford, yeah, and people look at him like, well, he's just an offensive guy, or same as Ford, they're just offensive guys, but they don't realize when you play them a lot or he's on your team, they get those goals that maybe another guy scores 40, but he doesn't get the 40 aren't as important.
Doesn't get that one.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I think 2 years ago we went to the final, and I think we had like 19 goals or something. I think Ford had 12. So
yeah,
those guys are invaluable to you, and you can't. You can go get a good hockey player, but at that one, as I said, a guy like Ford and Milan and those guys, all of a sudden, boom, it's on their stick, and what happened? Like they haven't done anything, and then boom, boom, next thing you know, they got a goal, and they're ahead or tied. You know what I mean? And so it'll be interesting to see with Milan out how they respond there.
Yeah, absolutely. And AJ, what do you take us through the Empire?
Listen, Listen, and I have respect for every team in our league, every coach, every GM. You know what I mean? I think looking at Binghamton and Topeka, I think we're going to see the strength of schedule come into play for Topeka. I think they kind of had I don't want to say easy. There's no easy schedules in this league, but I think they, due to their proximity, they had a lighter touch than us, Watertown, Blue Ridge. And I think that's going to play here. Listen, Binghamton, I mean, we saw them again last weekend. I mean, they weren't even playing their top guys. They're just, I don't see Topeka overcoming Binghamton. Topeka's got a lot of name guys, a lot of name brand guys, like you said, could put up points and stuff. But like Coach says, I look really at the history, the playoff experience.
Yeah.
Topeka's got a couple guys, but honestly, man, when the going gets tough, Bingo's been there. I think they take it in two. Blue Ridge and Port. A lot of people sleeping on Blue Ridge. I actually think Blue Ridge right now, they are so hot. And I think they peaked at the right time. They made a lot of moves at the deadline. They also picked up a lot of really good collegiate players. Actually, one they stole from me. I'm kind of mad still they got him. I think Blue Ridge takes Port. I think Blue Ridge I think a lot of people just assume it's always going to end up being Bingo and Port the past few years. But
AJ, I hate to interrupt, but Blue Ridge were hot until the last game of the year when they were down up 3-0 and lost 5-3.
Well, listen,
I just had to throw that in there because that was a win for us.
You're right. You're right. That is true. That's
I
true.
had to throw it. You teed it up for me. I had to hit it. I'm sorry. You said they're the hottest team and all that, and I was like, well, they were until the last game of the season. But that's all. No,
you're right.
You're right, AJ. You're right about them. They played well, but then again, I think, and I'm not. Trust me, I'm not trying to downgrade whatever it is, and I know they were hot. But if you look at their strength of schedule, again, they played a bunch of teams below us and below them, and those things help. But that's part of the game.
Yeah.
We all got to deal with it, and you can't use it as a whatever. But again, they played well, and as I said, they have been playing better lately.
And I think what you said, Coach, before, which I subscribe to, because that's what we're trying to do here in Danbury, is I think there's a lot of pieces in Blue Ridge that have kind of been together for a little while now, and they know each other. And I mean, the same could obviously be said about Port. I mean, they have their core there. But I don't know. I just think Blue Ridge right now, and yes, some of it is momentum. They've been hot, but also, even seeing them recently ourselves, they got a good team top to bottom right now. So we'll see. I'm going to put that in there as my sleeper pick for the between them and Port.
Okay.
I haven't seen all the teams in that league. You watch the scores, you watch the summaries, you watch all those things. I agree with you, and I haven't seen Topeka. I know they're kind of they've played. I talk to Robbie all the time. They seem like they got hot for a while, and then they were cold, and then they were. They won big games. They won, and then they lose. So I'm not sure how they do. And as AJ said, I think Bingo is going in there with the experience, and I know they had some of their schedule, but I still think that they've won 2 in a row, and you're going to have to knock them off. And I don't think that you can go in there not really prepared enough. And I don't know if there's a team in that division right now that's maybe ready to knock them off. I'm not sure. I look at the other series there. I think so. I think Bingo wins that one. The other one there, Port Huron had a great season. Okay, they did a lot of great things. They scored a lot of goals. They just had a great season, and I give those guys a lot of compliments. The one thing that they did to win a lot of games is they intimidated a lot of teams. They went in there and said, we're going to intimidate you and do that.
Yeah, Port plays tough.
But if you watch the playoffs, those things go away a lot. And I don't know if that is the recipe for success in the playoffs. It might be. I've just seen it over the course of, I hate to say it because I've been around a long time. Because all of a sudden, on a game on a Friday night, you get those penalties, or you try to be aggressive, and the other team doesn't want to be involved in it, and now you're down short, and they score a couple power play goals. Now you're chasing your tail. So I've seen it over the years. Maybe they're good enough, and I haven't seen them. That's one of my issues with them. I haven't seen them, but I think that could be a factor for that series there. If Blue Ridge decide that we're going to engage in everything and it's going to be a free for all, I think that's more in the Port Huron's favor. If they're disciplined and say, hey, we want to play hockey. And I'm not saying there's not going to be a fight or something like that, but I'm Port Huron. I don't think I've seen a game this year or looked at a summary where they haven't had 4 fights, and so those are the factors. And all of a sudden, there's a fight, and all of a sudden, their leader's fighting. What happens then? And in a short series, you better be
So
ready for that.
you kind of like whoever's going to dictate the pace of play.
I think
And
so.
what I want to end off on here is, does Binghamton take it again? Do you see anybody in the league that you think will beat them or can beat them? Do you think Binghamton has to beat themselves? Like, if Binghamton plays their game consistently, who has the roster to beat them, or do you think Binghamton takes it again? AJ, we'll start with you.
I got it coming down to, it's kind of a boring pick. I got it coming down to Athens and Binghamton in the end. I think with Binghamton, man, they are so explosive. And listen, even if they have an off day, right? Let's just, like Coach says, let's say they average over 5 goals a game. They have an off game. They have a goalie right now, and that Tomei kid, that can at least steal you a game at least. You know what I mean? Like, say you only score 1 or 2 goals. I mean, this kid has the ability to steal a game for you if the rest of your roster is off, And again, maybe I'm biased because it's the division. I've seen them a million times, but they are just stacked top to bottom. I mean, and it's going to be a hard mountain, but with these short series, anything is possible. That's what I kind of like about. I mean, I wouldn't like it if I was playing them in a short series, but that's, as a fan, I love the short series because it's literally a lot of Cinderella stories, in the making.
A lot of opportunity.
I agree. I think Bingo's going to come out of that division. In our division, I'll be honest with you. I think it's going to be a toss up. And whoever does, in my point, the 3 teams, to me, Monroe, Athens, and Columbus, whoever's hot, and as you say, like, you look at the goalies, if they get hot, whoever comes out of our division, I think they're really battle tested, because I mean, when we've played each other every night, and you're playing Athens is playing Monroe, or we're playing Columbus, or vice versa, and so I think that whoever comes out of our division, those 3 teams, I think they all got some type of shot. Maybe Athens is maybe a step ahead of everybody, but I don't know even if it is. If it is, it's a small margin there. And I think whoever comes out of our division will give them a heck of a fight. And I believe in a 3 out of 5, it should be a great series, and it should be great for the league. And as I said, I think to make a predict when we get to that, maybe one day we'll talk for a second and we'll make a prediction. But I just think the 3 teams in our division will give Bingo if they don't beat them, they're going to give them a run for their money, and or they're going to beat them. And so that's what it's going to be, in my opinion.
Coach hit it right on the head. I'm big on battle tested, and I think whoever's coming out of that division is going to be so warmed and primed. Not to say that, look, even our division, I would say is the lesser of the 2 overall. And like Coach says, I mean, just battle tested. I mean, whoever comes out of the continent, I mean, I think the finals, no matter who it is, it's going 5. I just think the league is so competitive right now that, and it's great for the league. I think, like Coach said,
oh, for sure,
it's gonna be very, very interesting.
The one thing that people don't really realize, I mean, if the Athens PD series goes 3 games, there's a lot of emotion involved. If the Columbus and Monroe series go 3 games, there's going to be a lot of emotion. And, the next weekend you go and you battle test and they go 3 games again. By the end of that 2 weeks, I've done that for the last 2 years. Trust me, but the end of the 2 weeks, you're like, whew, it's not just physically draining, it's mentally draining. And then now you got to say to yourself, okay, now we're going against Bingo. And I'm not saying Bingo's side is a whitewash for them. I just think they might have just a little less of going into the playoffs than they did last year. And as I said, that might be a factor too, and that's maybe something that teams are going to have to watch for.
Yeah, well,
Agreed.
it's going to be they're all going to be awesome series. I'm looking forward to them. Guys, thanks again for coming on. Have
no problem.
Awesome summers. I'm sure I'll be speaking with you real soon.
Adrian, I'll give you a call, buddy. We'll talk.
Yeah, listen, me and Coach, we've had more calls this year. We're talking moves and stuff. So Harry's been one of my best buddies in this league. He's a great man. I really look up to him and always love picking his brain.
Appreciate it, buddy. You all have a good day. We'll talk to you.
See you guys.
Sounds great, guys. See ya. And that's going to do it for this episode. Let's do our proof of attendance token code. The code is going to be playoffs. Enter the code at swanhockey.io on the podcast page, and you'll be eligible to receive your proof of attendance token for watching this episode. Codes must be entered by 9 p.m. Eastern, the night that this show airs, Wednesday night. Our magic number is 5. Collect 5 or more of these tokens, and you will have access to the member-only chat inside Club Fed in the Swan Hockey Discord server. That's going to do it for this episode, and until next time, I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for being the best part of this episode of FPHL Beyond the Glass by Swan Hockey. We will see you soon.